Hello, everybody. Hello, all you beautiful artists out there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It is time for art. I'm your host, Hershey Petty, and let's get right to it. Let's do it. It's our last day of the month. We are going to be painting. You guys can do whatever you want. If you've got something that you've been thinking about painting all month, tonight's your night to do it. Allison's going to be demonstrating an island landscape painting from an island in Iran. So very excited about that. If you want to follow along with her, you're welcome to. I think I will tonight as well. I'm going to follow along with her. And we just wanted to give a special thanks and shout out to anybody who's new. If this is your first time joining us, we want to say thank you so much for being here, and to let you know that the format works this way. Time for Art is basically 8 art classes a month where we get together, we hang out, we have fun. You can follow along if you like, you don't have to. You can finish the paintings anytime. You don't have to keep up or finish one project before you start to the next. Every single project is self-contained, and you can do whatever, you can go at your own pace. We have 8 different classes a month, and we get together and we have fun. Allison paints, shows us some really cool stuff, and we just chat in the comment section. That's how we get to know each other. So please feel free. We encourage you to be active there. And no matter what your skill level is, you can make something that you're proud of every single time. Every night you come on here, you'll leave with something that you can really be proud of. So if you go to your calendar, you'll see that it's the last day of the month. So it's also the last day to use the Friends and Family discount. The code is Friends and Family 20, all caps. You'll use that on our website. If you want to gift maybe a subscription to one of your friends, or if maybe you have people that are really interested because they saw your great art and now they want a part of it. So don't forget that tonight's the last night to use that, and it's also the last night to sign up if you want to get May's box. And Allison's, she already told me what it is, but she's going to tease it what next month's is. So without further ado, it is time for art. So let's say hi to Allison, our resident artist. Hi, Al.
Hey, how are you?
I am great. Normally I wear a collared shirt, but I thought this shirt really,
it's really lovely.
Yeah. So
captures the energy of the evening. I like the adjustment.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Wardrobe shift. It's really lovely. So yeah, so today we're doing Original Painting Day. And so the whole point of Original Painting Day is to just, you've done so much kind of instructional stuff, paint something original. And that's what we're doing here. And another thing we haven't done a great job of hitting is at Original Painting Day, you can use all of the paint that you've accumulated from prior months. And so I've kind of got some of my other paints out here. And a lot of times we work with a limited color palette, so everything stays really cohesive. This is a little bit similar in that space, that we're using kind of warm colors plus blue. That's kind of how this goes. So we don't have a lot of blues and greens. We kind of have, kind of different versions of blue here. And I haven't painted this painting before, so we're gonna see how it goes. This is our painting. It is Hormuz Island off of Iran. And it is, the photographer is Soroush Karimi. We practiced that, probably should have. Yeah. We always want to credit the photographer. This is on Unsplash if you want to take a look at it. And so I'm just going to kind of get started here. I wanted to show everybody my original painting from last month. We did the diptychs.
Yes.
This is what it looks like.
Look at that.
And the fun here was that it was seeds for daisies. A package with daisies printed on it, and a daisy printed tablecloth. And so the idea there was just kind of daisies 3 ways. And we did step and repeat pattern. And so we talked about that last month. And so this is how I kind of incorporated our spring box. So
do you remember, Allison, I actually, when you were discussing your what you wanted to do for this painting, you said you were going to do seeds and I told you not to, remember? Yeah, I was like, don't do that. That seems awful.
What do you think? Did it work out?
They look so incredible. They're jumping off the page, I swear.
So yeah, so this is just kind of so it's a little it's very playful. I'd say it's a playful painting, and I know we have some gardeners with us tonight. So it's also kind of in honor of that art form. And yeah, we'll I'll show this finished. We'll see how far I get on it tonight. At original painting day next month. So
okay.
all right, so we're gonna get started. And I did a sunflower painting, a little bit like this. It's an oil painting I did. And I kind of learned this trick that the way you can really make your sunset glow is to start dark and work your way up. So I'm going to quickly kind of draw in my horizon line here. And if you look, this is an interesting composition because I'd say it's almost 5/8 sky, 1/8 water, or 3/8 water is kind of where I was going with that. So we're going to kind of do the same thing here.
You know, I would have guessed that you would have started with the lighter colors because it would have been easier to cover them with the dark, but you didn't. You started with the dark.
This is, it's kind of a cheater's trick. So I'm just putting in my horizon line and my sort of island rock here. I'm just kind of putting that into, so here's the water line. Water line looks kind of like that. And this kind of comes up like this, over like this, and down like this. Now, if you can't see it, I'm gonna go ahead and hold it up.
So yeah, it's a little dark.
Helping, but we're not gonna need it. It's just a few lines I threw in, and you're gonna see everything you need to see from there. But that's part of the challenge of working dark on light. So here we go. These are our palettes with wells. And someone asked me the other day why we use palettes with wells and we don't do what is kind of the traditional iconography of an artist where you're holding one and it's flat. And that works really well for oil painting. It doesn't work so well with acrylic painting because you have to, your paint's gonna dry out if you don't do it in wells. So because we keep it in wells, it doesn't dry flat and it keeps itself liquid longer. And that's kind of an important.
I tried, you know, one of these little tools came with some brushes that I bought. I don't know if that's cheating, but I went and bought some brushes. And I tried to use this that I've seen people use on YouTube. I don't know what it's called, where they like kind of spread that paint across. They don't even use brushes. And I don't think our paint really lends itself to that either.
Well, you know, it's different. It depends on how you want to paint. It depends on what you're doing. But kind of I'm going with this is there is a method to our madness. We've chosen all of this as carefully as we can.
Yeah. But yeah, use your brushes. I'm not so, I don't know, maybe I need more training with this type of medium, but I like the brushes. And I also want to say real quick before we get too into it, I want to say hi to the usual suspects out there, Allison, the ones that are with us every single week, the ones that are active in the chats. We get to know you guys so well. I want to say hi to Chelsea and Melinda and Michelle and Julie and people. And if you're with Kevin in Crown Point, hello, Kevin. You know, I remember, Allison, when I was a kid, they would at Romper Room. Did you remember that?
No, what's that?
Romper Room was like a kids show, and like a young kids show, like kindergarten kids. And at the end, the teacher would like say goodbye, and she would just look into this magic mirror and say the names of children. And when you were at home thinking they said your name, you thought they looked right through the TV, and they never said Hershey. So now I'm getting out to say like I'm the one calling out names now. Yeah.
I'm sad that they never said Hershey. All right, so we're just gonna kind of fill in some of these colors. So the first one I'm gonna start with is these warm tones that are in this water area. So I'm gonna get started here. Fill this in. And do you see how this is already kind of creating a glowing effect?
Yeah.
Against the dark.
Not just what color is that you have? Oh, that's the
vermilion.
There.
Vermilion plus white. Good question.
Okay,
So it's vermilion plus white. It wasn't completely
There
mixed.
it is.
So we're
I see.
getting some different tones in there too. So there's that. So I'm going to drop that guy in there. And then if you look at our reference here, it goes from yellow to this kind of cerulean blue, which is what I'm using. But if you look, it doesn't really hit green in between, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to make green accidentally. So I'm going to start with this blue up here and kind of let it dry.
Okay.
So I am going to go and add in some blue up here. And as always with original painting night, if you want to do what I'm doing, awesome. You want to try this? Awesome. It is raw umber and white.
Can I get you real quick to go through the colors real quick? Because Ruth showed up a little bit late, but she wants to follow along.
Awesome. So if you want to follow along, it is raw umber on the base. It is cerulean in these two wells. And I've got kind of a darker color going on right here or more concentrated cerulean in this well than this well. Then I've got, I'm using medium yellow if you have it from last month, but you can use lemon yellow. I've got orange from one of our prior months. And I've got the vermilion. And we are using paint from previous months because that's one of the things we encourage on Original Painting Day. In the event that you don't have it, find something similar. It'll work.
So, it will too. You're right. It's a sunset. It's gonna it looks stylized. Yeah.
It's gonna look cool. Yep. Okay. So that one's that one. I'm gonna come back down here because I'm gonna let my blue dry. And I'm gonna kind of put some more sort of vermilion plus orange. Plus yellow. Do you see how we're getting our glow?
Yeah. And that's because of the raw umber underneath?
That's because of the raw umber underneath and the white plus the color, the tint that we're using above.
Yeah, they almost look pastel before they get on that umber. Then
yeah,
they pop.
It really pops. So that's what we're going for here. So I'm just kind of trying to fill in the holes.
Okie dokie.
And so as it dries, you're going to see more holes because it shrinks up. So that looks just like that. And then we're going to look at our reference and say, okay, really, there's this kind of high concentration of white in the middle. So I am going to hit some white in the middle.
Okay.
So,
like
that's kind of hitting right here. And like I said, I've never painted this before. So you're watching me figure out how to paint something, which we don't do when we do our tutorials. I've painted it usually.
Actually, I think that you took the words right out of my mouth that I was going to say. Like, I think that this is probably just as cool. It is to me to see how your brain works. One of the things that I remember thinking when I used to tell myself that I couldn't draw or paint was that I thought that every step along the way, you just made it more perfect, or that it was perfect and you just moved it along and made it perfect here, then made it perfect here. And really it starts off as just a brown board sometimes. And then, it's cool to see the process.
Yeah, no, a lot of people, and since we started doing this, I've gotten a lot of this feedback, didn't know that there were layers with painting. They thought you kind of had to hit it the first time right away. And I mean, maybe some artists do that. It's not how I was taught, nor how I like to work.
You know, and I'll tell you, even with my drawing, I'm using my eraser, I mean, probably 8 times more than my pencil.
And that's sometimes considered working reductively, that you put down a lot of material and then you decide what to keep.
Yeah,
And
I do that a lot with my drawing.
totally great way to work. All right, so I'm just kind of hitting some of these tones again. And if you saw my electronic devices, people have this kind of reverence towards electronic devices sometimes. All of mine have paint spatters on them. Yeah, and then they get upset about it for me, like, oh, what a shame you have paint on your iPad. And I'm like, what a shame you don't. Like,
yeah, right? What are you doing with your iPad that you don't have paint on it?
Boring. So this is how I use my devices, and it's in an irreverent way, and I don't worry too much about it. Okay, so I just grabbed a little bit more vermilion, and I've mixed it with some of the orange I had down, and I am just going to kind of up the intensity in the water, and I'm going to mix it with the orange to kind of get this color right here.
We were talking, everyone at home painting with us, we were talking before we went live. Allison loves the name Vermilion. I think she pitched it as a name I could name one of my kids.
Doesn't Vermilion Petty sound really lovely?
She loves the name.
Verm's kind of cute. I don't know. I don't like Vermi. Stay away from Vermi. But Verm, it's better than Fern, maybe, or like, I don't know.
If I had a Vermilion child, or a child named Vermilion, I would shorten the million part somewhere and not the verb.
Oh, like Millie?
Yeah, something like that.
Mills.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. All right. So we're getting closer and closer to what this actually looks like. And we still have clouds to put on top of this. I'm just taking some water and I'm going to just sort of loosen up my transitions here. And then to get this kind of brown color right there, I'm going to straight up use some of the raw umber because it is the same taupey brown. So we're going to get out a little of that. I'm going to mix it with some of what's above it. Like that, touch of white.
What was that thing that you said earlier when you said, I don't want to get green, so I'm going to do this? And what was that thing you said?
I didn't want to go yellow to blue and get a really obvious green. And you're going to get some of it, and that's even in the painting, but I didn't want there to be a green stripe of the sunset. So that was.
So you did the blue first, or you did what?
I let the blue kind of dry, and then I got the yellow right up against it. Okay. And even at that, you're going to get some, and there's some in here, but I didn't want a straight up green layer. So, okay, so here's this kind of brown layer that we're putting in here, and that's working really nicely. All right.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to kind of leave that alone for a moment. As soon as I say that, I get right back in there.
This is the process, everybody. We're watching it in real time.
All right. So there we go. So we're just going to take a look at this. This looks like what we have going on.
Yeah, it does.
And so I'm just looking back and forth to see what I might want to change. I want to hit this kind of ivory white a little bit harder, but I want to let this dry first so I don't just push around what's already on there.
Good idea.
And I am going.
Patience.
Yeah, but you know, that's part of the fun.
Yeah.
I am going to kind of redraw this water line right now. And this is wet paint, so it's not going to be perfect, but so if this is the water line, this is kind of the coast. It wraps around this way. There's some blue over here that we'll hit on this stage of things. And we've got some rocks over here. And then we have this rock that I've effectively painted over. That's gonna go, but that's because I don't want this halo around it. I don't want a line. So I always paint over my marks and then figure it out again. I go up like this, over around like this, kind of like that.
Okay.
So that's that's what we're looking at here. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and put that in with my raw umber color.
Okay.
And I'm just going to, because I'm just kind of getting it in there, marking it off. I'm just going to loosen up my raw umber and paint it in. Because I am just kind of, it's almost like masking it off. Deciding that this is what goes here.
Yeah.
And
because you're going to paint over those lines again.
Exactly. But this way we kind of see what it's going to look like. And everybody should know this at this point, but we always try and work the whole here. We don't want areas of the painting way behind, right? Some people like to work that way, like they'll paint in one flower and then they'll like, and there will be white paper someplace else. And that's just not how we do it. You have success that way, by all means, but we kind of want to work the whole painting at a time. So we're making decisions that influence the whole picture plane all at once. But I also want to say that just because this is how I do it does not mean everyone else necessarily has to. It's just the way you're going to see it here.
Yeah, it's very digestible this way too.
Well, and then you kind of see, one of the things I like about painting this way, besides that it's, to me, kind of the only way you can be very organized maybe about the way you work, but is that you see that it doesn't have to look perfect right away. It just has to kind of look the way you want it to at that stage.
Right, right. And that's such a revelation.
So if I bring this up to that stage, it doesn't have to look, I don't have to have any kind of emotional connection to the success of it just yet. I'm just trying to get it to where it needs to be.
Right, right. Like there's a time and a place for everything. You're not done yet.
We're not done yet, but I can be satisfied.
Yes, right.
Is where this is at this point.
Excited about where you're going because it's something incredible.
So here we go. And the first thing I see is I really like the contour of this rock more than the one I painted. So I am going to get in this kind of shape right here because I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Like the flat top.
Kind of a flat top, kind of like our guy that we painted on Monday.
Yeah.
That attractive man. I saw some of those paintings and they looked really cool.
Yeah, I need to upload mine. I was really proud of mine.
Soaking up the sun.
Yeah. I was really proud of myself because I tend to, remember I told you I tend to make everybody's skin really dark when I paint in one monochromatic, and it was really great having those 5 tones.
Well, yeah, and so that's kind of, the more familiar you get with how value the lightness and darkness of color works, the more you can say, okay, this is objectively too dark because I know what that value is.
Yeah.
You can't get there right away. You have to kind of try it, and it's part of the experience. All right. So that's in there pretty nicely. My background is drier, except for this edge. I actually might wipe down this edge because every time I lift it up, I'm getting kind of a rainbow on my.
It looks beautiful. I was going to say, yeah, it looks real good.
Well, thank you. And so, okay, I just took care of some of that. All right, so this is looking a little patchy to me as a dry paint can. So I'm going to kind of even out this tone right here.
It's just more of the same that you're using?
Yep, just more of the same. Oh, not that. And I want to hit this really kind of electric white in the middle. So if you look at my painting and you look at this painting, this contrast, I think is what makes it kind of exciting right here.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to add a touch of yellow because it's kind of an ivory to this white. And it's like right here. And it's really, really intense. Just like that.
Oh, do you guys, I don't know if you guys all remember the Cozy Cuties. We did a special paint night for them last month.
Yes.
I was on the, I don't know if it was my Facebook or it was Time for Arts Facebook, but I was on there today and I kept getting these notifications. And so by the end of it, I was clicking. Next thing you know, I'm part of I'm a member of the Cozy group.
Oh, Hershey, how fantastic.
People can
They
expect
are a blast.
Cozy.
Yeah, you will have so much fun hanging with them.
I think so too.
All right. So I'm gonna kind of just even out these strokes. And again, am I worried about going into my mountain? Rock, whatever this is? Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a little bit of blue, as you can see right in here in the water, right on the coast. I'm going to kind of put some of that in here. And I'm going to kind of let the rest of this dry. Going in with just a drier brush and moving some stuff around. I'm looking at this. There's this kind of electric orange color that's popping up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to kind of hit some of that. And it's especially in here and around here. Going through and hitting that. And actually, it gets a little bit bluer in the background, which is interesting. Do you see how it's almost a blue back here?
Let me see. It looks so cool. There's a lot of color going on in that original. Yeah.
A lot of color going on. Yeah. And so this is kind of going on sort of right back here. But this is a blue.
Oh, I do.
Transitions into this. So there we go with this. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is start kind of mapping out these clouds, because we want to work background to foreground as much as possible. And I don't want to have to dance around the contour of this rock when I go to put in my clouds. So let's just take a look and see what we're drawing. It is kind of this big cloud right here, this one here, and then we've got some other ones. And Hershey and I have drawn a lot, have painted, drawn, talked about a lot of clouds on Time for Art. And I feel like this is an original at that. We have not done one quite as all-encompassing.
You're right. We haven't. This is going to be one of those negative spaces clouds where.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where we're drawing the negative space. You are exactly right, Hershey. I'm looking at this space right here.
Yep.
Looking at this space in here. Some of the colors in there. And then I'm going to kind of just hit some smaller ones in here and in here. Around here. All right. Good stuff. And for this one, because this is kind of a definitively different blue, I'm going to get out my cerulean again, but I'm also going to get out some deep blue. There's some cerulean, quite a bit of it.
You know, one of the really exciting things about this painting too will be to see what colors people did have.
And what they came up with.
Yeah, that's going to be really neat.
Yeah, and please, you can do this however you'd like. Don't feel like you need these exact colors. We are just showing tonight that if you don't use up all your paint, awesome, hang on to it.
Good time with the last day of the month.
All right, so I'm going to kind of mix this guy up right here. Still a little too blue for my taste, but that'll be okay. I'm going to take some of this and add a little raw umber. Yeah, we like that. Yeah, I like that more. So that's a closer blue. And sometimes when you mix colors, you end up with in two wells the same color.
Yeah.
Happen.
That was me last night with Giorgio. I mean, there was some of those grays in the well just looked exactly the same, but you know what? When they dried, I could see them different.
Yeah, and with Giorgio, we had to be really subtle because the differences were so subtle. This is raw umber and some orange. I'm gonna grab some of this vermilion mixture too. I want even more vermilion. That's rose madder. We're not using that today. All right, vermilion. Yes, that is in fact vermilion. All right, so that's going to work in here. And then this gets oranger and lighter. So I'm going to add some orange. Remember, this orange is mostly yellow. Remember we figured that out?
Right.
Not all colors are created equal.
That is the yellowy orange.
Say that, it's a yellowy orange. So that's going to work there. Okay, so these are our cloud colors. And we'll hit it with some lighter colors that are more intense, but we're going to kind of put down our foundation for these. Okay. So if you look, there's this blue that kind of transitions to this kind of taupey red, and it kind of transitions to this rusty orange down here. And this is on my brush, so I'm actually going to start out with some of these smaller ones down here. And get them in. And there's some white in this because there was some white on the table. I just want to acknowledge that. I've pulled from some of the collective white that's been going on down here.
This is the process. That blue that you put down at the bottom of the painting dried really nicely.
Our white dries really nicely on top of things. Mm-hmm. If you haven't noticed.
It does.
Kind of like the white veil.
Yeah.
All right, so this kind of comes around like this.
I don't know what color I would have made that, but I definitely didn't see brown until you showed it right there, that okay. Color. Yeah.
And then now I see it. This is kind of, it transitions to this color. And then some of these little guys.
Do you ever mess up, like scrap the whole thing and start fresh?
All the time.
You do? Okay. All right. Me too. Me too.
I actually heard it's a digital artist I really admire. Mm-hmm. And he said that the definition of being a professional artist is when you abandon a bad idea. When you say, this isn't working, I am going to stop trying.
You become a professional artist. That's hilarious.
Yeah. When you're like, this isn't working. And I think in his case, it's like, and I need something by 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't have time to keep nursing this back to health. It's time for plan B. And so definitely.
That's so funny.
But I've also tried to sort of, and Time for Art, just doing this has kind of helped me with it. I've tried to decide that actually I'm going to throw the success of this out because we're doing so much art and we make so much art as a community and we kind of talk to each other, and that not everything has to work out. And there's a lot of freedom in acknowledging that. I think.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, we're going to make something again tomorrow. And if this doesn't happen, or if I don't like this page quite as much as a different page of my sketchbook.
Mm-hmm. I love that these classes are free too, that, you know,
yes.
everyone can invite their friends because you don't have to be a subscriber to follow along and have a good time.
And that's, please listen to that phrase. Our model here, and it's really important to us, is that anyone who has an internet connection and power can participate in this. You can comment, you can paint along, you can draw along. If you want the materials, we try and make them as affordable as possible.
And they're really nice.
Yeah. And they match. And so you're not like trying to be like, well, my deep blue doesn't look like your deep blue. We give you all the same stuff, right? So there's something to that, right? And so, yeah, you want the kit, it's $40 a month if you subscribe, and we really like that. But if you just want to follow along, or you have a friend that's interested in this and you're together, please do it together. Please take a look at it. Show everybody. That's the point.
Yeah, and you get for that $40 box, you get enough supplies and whatnot to make 3 whole paintings. Plus, you had paint left over, and I think so does everybody else to go on month to month. So 3 plus, I would say.
Paint plus, I love it. So, okay, so I have put all this paint down, and I'm just kind of taking a wet brush with water and just kind of smoothing out some of my transitions. And I'm going to go over these clouds again. So anything I kind of want to course correct, like this pocket of this intense white, I kind of lost when I was kind of making my clouds. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back in there.
Okay, right now.
Yeah. So I am going to paint in this white. So it's like, do you ever mess up? I'm not scrapping this, but I lost this and I wanted to keep it. So I'm putting it back in. It's kind of the yellow that's there. This is kind of right where the sun is setting.
Do you ever mix mediums? Like maybe at the end of this, you'll use a highlighter or something?
Yeah, definitely, always. And that's another thing. Let's say you want to get out a Sharpie and outline the whole thing. Do it, try it. Yeah. Nothing is precious here when you're making as much art as we are. And it's really important that, yeah, if you had,
true,
which is kind of what we're going for, supplies coming all the time, right? And you got together with people who care about you, that want to have fun and talk, what would you make, right? And how much freedom would you have, because it wasn't like your chance to make something and make it look good, right? And that's really what we're going for here.
And you get a tutorial from somebody who's designed it so that you are proud of something every single night.
Yeah, exactly. So this is engineered to have some success. But if you want to like go off the script and try something new, this is a safe place to do that too. So yeah, always, you want to mix the mediums. You want to get out some glitter. You want to, get out your paint markers or something like that. Please do. Always, always, always. All right, so here we go. I'm just kind of talk about where we are. I've kind of hit that highlight in here, and I want it to look like that the clouds are in front of it. So I'm going to have to kind of get back into these clouds again. But I'm going to go ahead and hit some of this highlight tone in my water, right? So in this red area is some of this tone that I hit kind of right here. And it's in this area, less so back here. So I'm just going to kind of start. Worked really well with this yellow. Definitely want some of this yellow. Getting some of these ripple marks, highlights in the water.
Mhm.
And this is a painting, remember, I don't need to hit every single one of them. I'm just
Right.
kind of
And you're
looking for
using
this
the
more
flat
density.
side. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So there's just more density. So this is kind of a dense area for highlight. This is kind of a dense area for highlight. So it's kind of this sort of U shape or maybe apostrophe shape. So
I like that effect that you got with the flat side of the large brush. I like that.
I love our large brushes like this because you can get a really smooth line and then you can switch to a really wide line and vary your line weight. So coming in here, there's some really intense ones in here. I'm gonna hit some of those. Smaller ones back here. That's how that's kind of coming to be. Right in here. Some density in here. And again, we're painting this for a reason. There's this beautiful photograph that exists for free on Unsplash.
Mhm.
And if you wanted it, if you wanted this photograph, I suggest getting it from there. It's really great. You can download it. We're making a painting. So it's not going to look exactly like that. That's why we chose to paint it. So.
Right.
All right. So we got some of the water highlight going on through here. It's a good place to be for now. And I'm just looking to see these clouds aren't quite, you see how they're still wet, Hershey? See how they're still, if I went in there right now, I would just rip off all the wet areas and we don't want that. So I'm not going to do that.
That is 100% something I would do here at home.
And that's just kind of one of those things where you have to be like, yeah, you know what? I am going to show a little bit of restraint today. I can't promise.
I'm not doing myself any favors.
Tomorrow, yeah. I am just going to show a little bit of restraint today. So I'm going to take some straight up raw umber. Okay. Just like this. And with the top flat side of my brush, I am going to paint in the darkest areas of my rock. So it's and rock area, right? So this is kind of the coast. These are the rocks along here. I'm going to establish those. There's a itty bitty little figure on the photograph. I am not going to include that.
What is it?
It's like a teeny tiny little dude. He's like right here. Do you see him?
Let me see.
Yeah. You know what? If you knew him, maybe you leave it in. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. So I'm not going, that's not important to me. I'm painting in some of these areas where some of these rocks are. I'm going to hit these with maybe a brown or a brown mixture with black.
Okie dokie.
A little bit, but yeah, but for now I'm just hitting him with brown. I'm going to work my way up to some of these darker tones. In here, some of the rocks are in the water. They're not just along this line. I'm going to start establishing that.
And that's still just regular old raw umber by itself?
Raw umber by itself. And it's not unlike how we mapped out the color on here initially, but because it's got some raw umber underneath it, it's coming in a little bit heavier. It's coming in a little bit thicker.
That's a cool trick. If you want it to be darker than it is, put it down once and then put it down again.
Down again. It's that simple sometimes.
Yeah.
Same color, second time. What's it? Last verse, same as the first. Kind of what we're going for here. Okay, yeah. So in our kind of rock mountain formation here, it actually reminded me of Haystack Rock in Portland. It's not. This is an island in Iran, but there's a very cool rock. I'm trying to think of where it's not in Portland. It's its own little, but it's super cool. And I think it's a bird sanctuary. So there's all these really cool looking birds that fly around it, and you're close enough to see the birds. I would say it's a good thing you can't actually get on the rock because there's birds by the masses on there, and with that comes all the things birds do.
Like attack.
Like attack and use the restroom and yeah, all those things. But it is it's a very cool thing to look at, which is what I did, and it reminded me of Haystack Rock. That's part of why I chose this. And how cool would it be to go to Iran and get to see this someday? But
I wonder, geography quiz, would that be on, which ocean would that be on?
I will fail that 100% of the time. My brother, our brother Hershey, he teaches all that.
He's probably screaming the answer right now.
He's you nitwit, yeah. But yeah, so he could tell
Persian
you.
Gulf, the Persian Gulf.
Persian Gulf.
Yes.
He teaches world geography and
or wait, it also could be the Caspian Sea. Doesn't matter. Let's go with Caspian Sea.
Caspian Sea. All right. So it's the beginning.
I'm gonna tag the photographer in this video on Facebook when it's posted, and he'll watch it and he'll be able to tell us exactly where it was taken.
That would be amazing.
Yes.
And we use unsplash.com a lot. They have no affiliation with us. They do not support us. They aren't sponsors, but it is all of this original artwork that is fair use, free to use. And so we do.
Nice.
And it is just important to me that we acknowledge the artist that made that available.
Absolutely. And so if you want the photographer who took that stunning photo of Giorgio from Monday, if you want him to see your work or her to see your work, post it to the subscriber group as soon as you can, because after this, they're gonna be notified.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I just put a little bit of the raw umber into some of the white I had, and I'm gonna hit some of these kind of highlights on the ground as I wait for my trees to or my there are no trees clouds. That's what those are called. To dry. So this is just raw umber and white. And I'm just kind of hitting some of these lighter tones on the land. And it's kind of also up in here. This gets lighter around here.
I can't wait to see what you do with those clouds.
Well, we're gonna get into them in a minute here. Kind of area in the background I'm gonna kind of get in. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. I've got my rock landmass in. I've got my coast in. I've got some of the rocks in. I've got my clouds in. Now I'm gonna kind of look to see how this dried and how I'd like it to change, right? So I'd like to hit some of these deeper blues a little bit more consistently. So if you look here, this is there's kind of a ribbon that goes through here with the deeper blues. And then I'm also going to hit some of these kind of vermilion and white areas and some of these orangey layers again. So I still have some of this rust color from before. So I'm gonna wash out my brush. And this is gonna be one of those times when I actually really have to wash my brush in between colors because I'm trying to get really specific.
Right.
And so here is this kind of blue ribbon I'm putting in through here.
It feels more matte than the colors around it.
Yeah, and I think that has something to just do with how it's drying, but could be wrong.
Yeah.
We'll see when it
It's
all
so
dries.
cloud. The cloud doesn't have any shine compared to, or the glow, you know?
Yeah.
It matches.
So that's kind of coming through here. Then we have our kind of taupey color. And I'm going to kind of blend that into this. And again, this is working out because we laid down such a nice foundation.
Yep.
Before. Starting with our sky.
I'm gonna say it was a dark foundation, right? And
Our foundation, quite literally.
Yeah.
But the reason we're getting this white glow in the cloud in the background is because of that dark foundation. All right. Then I'm going to skip over to some of this area down here before I mix up my vermilion and white.
Palette look like? Let me see your palette. Look at you. Okay.
All the colors.
Yeah. You don't use a lot of paint.
I just don't. Now that some people have opinions of that, or they really enjoy an impasto look. If you're building up lots of layers of paint, it's difficult if you're not working kind of flat. But at the same time, it's really cool to use thick paint. So
yeah,
just because I'm not right now doesn't mean we won't try it in the future. But as a general practice, I use less paint, not more paint. Okay, coming in here with that color. Now is where I'm going to hit some of these oranges. And these oranges are picking up from the sun that's kind of setting right here. So little orange in here. Little orange right here. Some little clouds in between that I didn't get maybe enough of before. You can see the whole picture now where I need a few more. I want some to go off the page. Just like that. Perfect here. I'm gonna cut my finger smudge there all the time.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to mix up some of this vermilion and white that kind of peeks through here. That's what that color is.
That vermilion is versatile.
Yeah.
It kind of lends itself to getting darker and lighter.
Yeah. And I think it can look either stoplight red or like a coral, or it's a really great color. So I've got some raw umber on my brush, so it softened it a little bit, which is what I wanted. And I am just going to kind of very carefully just kind of feather this into my clouds. So I've got some over here.
You're going to use the same brush to feather?
I am in this case.
Okay. Okay. That's because you use so little paint, or just the right amount of paint, you know?
Or I just ran out of paint at the right time. That's part of it.
Yeah, been there.
That's part of the experience. All right. So we got in a little bit of that. I like how this looks. I want it to be even brighter. So I'm going to go in next and add a little bit of white to this. And the white's going to be sort of at the base of these strokes because it's coming from the sunset underneath. Just like this. All right, I like the way that looks. I am going to second coat this white one more time. I want it to be really intense, and as it dries, it shrinks up a little bit. I'm just gonna really hit this white right here. Behind this cloud. Underneath here. Through here. Over here. That's really where the sun's setting is, right here. And last but certainly not least, I am going to get out my lamp black. Christy and I were talking about lamp black.
It's an actual color.
An actual color. It's not just our color. And I'm going to put in some raw umber so it's not straight up black. And we're going to give this a mixy mix.
How would you characterize lamp black? Is that like a very like onyx type black, or how would you?
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
Okay.
You beat me to it. I was going to say,
Alright.
I don't know, but it's an onyxy black. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The brush I wanted. This brush.
We're approaching the hour mark.
Clock mark, but I think we might wrap up right around
Oh yeah?
the hour.
All right.
So I've got my lamp black plus raw umber, and that's going to be the darkest thing you see. Let's see if I like this brush. I might switch. And we're just going to hit our darks in the rock and in the water. So there's some dark here. Over here. Comes down here. Just like that. Down here. This kind of horizon line right here comes in really strong. Over here. This is all really dark, kind of in silhouette. This is kind of like how our palm fronds got very dark in our strawberry sunset painting. Put some rocks here. They're really dark. Of these rocks in here.
It's coming together really nicely. What do you think helped you create the depth that you see there. Cause like when you first started painting, I thought to myself that I myself run into problems, whereas I'm painting a landscape that goes further away.
Yeah.
Those steps leading up to when it looks good, I feel like I'm never going to be able to make it look like it's far away. And you did that really well.
Well, I think it's just the picture I chose, if you just get the colors right, kind of does that for you.
Okay.
Otherwise it gets softer and bluer and lighter as you get further away.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're more intense in the foreground.
Okay, got you.
Yeah. And then last but not least, and this is where I might want to switch my brush to something smaller. Not that. We'll try it with this one. There is these kind of black ripple lines that really ground the water.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those times where when you try to be random, it looks.
Big challenge. So I'm just gonna try the water is kind of coming in along like this, kind of on this stroke. It also really helps that when I'm going live and trying to talk and figure out what I'm doing, I can't really overthink what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's how we feel. I know Carolyn and I, when we keep up with you, or Lori, I think when we keep up with you, it's like we cannot overthink it. You gotta move on.
And so that's how this is gonna go in today.
Right. It has to.
It's not the brush I would have chosen necessarily for this step. But you know what? I'm actually going to switch to the top part. Let's see if I like this more. Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. So this is the big brush across the top. This kind of. This in here. Getting in our water lines. It's getting smaller and smaller and more broken up as we get closer and closer into the foreground.
It looks so cool.
So I'm just kind of taking my time, putting in my little ripple marks. I'd say this is as close to Bob Ross as we've gotten. Where and everybody watched me paint a landscape.
Yeah. It's a good thing that the
in an hour
when you're talking, because sometimes I know when you're talking, I catch a glimpse of myself and I like this.
The open mouth stare.
Yeah, I'm just like really enjoying it. I'm looking at some incredible painting happening right in front of my eyes, and I'm just like into it.
And this doesn't look exactly like this. If you look, I kind of just because part of critique is acknowledging where if I was shooting to get this sky exactly perfectly, I'd have this kind of stripe right here, hit right here. And I might go back in and put that in there.
Yeah.
But here we are.
I like the yellow, that you could see the yellow in the water in your painting. Because it wouldn't jump out at me from the photo, but now I see the yellow that I saw now that I've seen it in your painting.
Well, I think I turned it up a little bit. It's not, there's yellow, but it's not as intense. And that's those are some of the decisions you make as a painter.
And especially for the last day of the month, you don't even know what colors you have yet.
Yeah, nope. All right, so let's call the water done for now. I am gonna go back and hit this kind of stripe because I think it's gonna look cool. So I'm gonna do
Can we say goodbye to people who might need to leave?
absolutely goodbye. Thank you. It's 8:05. We loved having you.
If you want to stay on, you can. Allison's going to finish up her painting soon. So we'd love to keep you guys here, but if we got to go, we understand. We'll see you guys on Monday for the new box.
Yes. And it's something sweet. That is.
Yes, that's right.
For the new box. Okay. So comparing these two, this is too dark right here. We want to get this nice kind of coppery orange color. I missed it the first time. And paint it in.
And what color is that there?
This is kind of orange and vermilion and
that vermilion.
But that's a little bit closer.
Mm-hmm.
To what we've got going on there. And then it's kind of the taupey color underneath. And then actually, it gets light again right at the edge. So let's try and get that in there. Do you see, Hershey, how it gets light right on the edge?
Oh, yeah. The horizon, it does.
Yeah, the horizon kind of transitions up again. Okay, so there we are. That's closer. And I like that. And then right along the line, it gets light again. And kind of along this rock line too, it kind of does. All right, I'm just going to even this out. I might hit these clouds one more time so they look like they're in front of the sky I just adjusted.
Yeah, I see it. Looks great.
So I just want them to look on top. And then my finished sketchbook, since we're starting with sketchbook day next week, I'm going to show everybody my treasure hunt book.
Did you figure out what you were going to put in all those messages?
I put in treasure hunt in the postcard.
Postcard, then there was a message in a bottle.
Message in a bottle. I got something in the bottle.
Okay. All right, good. Were there two messages in a bottle?
The first one says SOS.
Okay, nice.
And then I've got another message in a bottle after that. So okay, well, there, but I'm gonna refine it a little bit more and show it on sketchbook night when we're introducing what the next sketchbook can be. All right, so here we are. I'm just gonna try and move the light so everyone can see it. Here is our island painting for the night. First attempt.
It really is glowing, Allison. Look at that.
We tried to make it glow, and I think we got pretty close. And yeah, I might mess with it a little more, but I'm gonna let it dry for now. And this is my, see, Hershey, how often do I complain about this light?
Yeah, it's a love-hate. You said it's a love-hate.
Love-hate, because it's such a good one when it stays on.
Yeah.
But here we are. And yeah, I enjoyed Island Month. Hershey, what'd you think of Island Month?
You know, I had a really good time Island Month. I even was inspired to use the vellum transfers from this month to make my mom a Mother's Day gift. So this has been so far my favorite month.
fantastic. And maybe we'll get to see that at some point, whenever that day comes.
I'm also able to change my wardrobe for every meeting to match the theme. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that with this next one.
Well, and I feel like the lightning bolts are kind of applicable to this. This feels kind of otherworldly, right? Our intense sunset.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all, and we'll see you next week for I almost said it. Oh, all right. Lost the light.
Bye, everybody. See you next week. Thank you.
Bye.